What's up, y'all? Welcome to Music Bytes, a show that takes an inside peek into the universal language of music. I'm your host, Sly, and by day you might catch me talking all things entertainment, culture, lifestyle, you name it. I'm probably writing about it. But that's enough about me. This show will explore the classics, the currents, and everything in between. We'll dive into the stories behind the songs, the artists who created them, and the impact that music has on our lives. And we won't just be talking about music. We'll also invite music enthusiasts, industry experts, and even the artists themselves for conversations beyond the music. So sit back, relax, and let the music take you on a journey. Welcome to Music Bites, where every note tells a story. And so for today's episode, I have an amazing brother duo, Tyler and Travis Jasper, by way of the DMV. Lots of VA energy in here. But you guys are behind the collective OSA, or do you just say OSA or like OSA or OSA? Okay. And it stands for like one song away, like we're all just one song away from changing our lives. Yeah. And I know like as a collective, you guys have worked with some amazing people from Chris Brown to Ro James, just all the folks, all the folks. So talk to me like really quickly about OSA. Like how did y'all come up with this and like how long have y'all been doing music, all the things?
Okay, well, OSA, we kind of started it like in around 2015 with that actual name, but we've been doing music our whole lives. I started playing the keyboard at a young age, 5-6 years old, and my brother, he really got into music around his middle school years, high school years, and started teaching him a little bit more production because I actually got my first deal when I was 20 with Drummer Boy. So it's like, I got a little bit more exposure when I was going out to Atlanta, but it's like we just tied it all in together as a brother unit. And from there, that's where we started making records. And it's funny, the first time we made a beat, we got our first beat placed.
Oh, nice.
Kevin Gates to this group called Bluff City. It was a song called Let Me Find Out.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like it was kind of like a real situation. It was meant to be.
Yeah, sure. I love that. I love that so much. And so when you guys were young, like, did you play in church or anything?
Yeah, I played keys at church.
Okay.
Yeah, I sang in church too. I was in the choir.
Yeah.
But we had every instrument at home growing up as kids. We had the drums, guitar, keys. So
yeah.
Always there.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And so today, because there's so much Virginia energy in the room, I thought it would be really cool to kind of dive into Chris Brown's debut album.
Of course.
The year was 2005, which means next year is going to be 20 years of that album. And I think he said on this last tour that he's gonna tour it. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so this album, he blends smooth vocals with infectious beats. And this album was a commercial success. It peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200, and then it eventually earned double platinum certification with the lead single Run It that debuted as a number 2. And then he was the first male artist since 1997 to debut at number 1. Wow. When he dropped this album. So yeah, we'll hop right in, and I'm just gonna play a few tracks, and we're gonna kind of go back and forth. I chose this album because Jonte Austin and Brian Michael Cox are on it. And when I think about music that's personally maybe been the soundtrack to my life, they're probably behind it. A lot of my formative years when I started getting into my own kind of music. So before we get into this, I want to know from y'all, what influences did y'all have growing up that made you be okay, I kind of want to tap into doing music?
No, I mean, being from Virginia, there were so many producers like Tim, Pharrell. But it's always for me being a little brother, my biggest influence was my brother. So, it's everything that he was putting me on to, B Cox, like you said, Jonte, he was just really showing me the like, you know, the real people that were pushing the pen and R&B, hip hop and all that stuff. So it really just led me to being like, my brother is my biggest influence.
Yeah, I love that.
He always showed me like the game, you know, he showed me who was hot. So I felt like that really influenced my ear, you know?
Yeah,
So.
I love that. That's so cute.
I mean, my brother, like, you know, he's a producer too. Like, so
Yeah.
growing up in our house, like, I always saw him producing as a kid. So it's
Yeah.
like, it wasn't nothing fun, like, when I started producing, because I'd always seen it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It-
I mean, as far as for me, like, you know, so many greats, especially starting in Virginia, you know, it's so many people that came out of Virginia. Like, we can't ever discredit, like, the Devontae Swings that actually gave everybody the umbrella to come out, you know what I'm saying, actually be very successful. So, you know, later in my career, I met, like, the B. Coxes, and it was like, you know, that's, like, one of the things that you always want to do. Like, when you're heroes, you're like, and then to see, like, the work ethic behind it, you can see why he's still so successful now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to hit the like play on this intro into this self-titled. But like, I remember being a kid and like hearing this, and he's like, pissy boy from Tappahannock, Virginia, and being so excited because I was like, oh, I'm from Virginia, like, you know what I mean, like, and hearing like that. So like, let's actually start there. Like, who are some of your biggest influences from Virginia, and like, how have they shaped like your approach like to making music?
Well, that's a great question. AI, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like there's so many, you know, like you said, like it's even outside of music, like for VA, it's culture, like Michael Vick, AI. We go to Tim Farrell, of course, you know, Missy, Chris Brown. You know, Chris Brown is really the tone of R&B to me since Michael Jackson. Like, you know, growing up as a kid, he was my Michael Jackson. So it's like he set that tone. He really let you see what performing and, you know, just impacting as an artist, growing, developing as an artist. So. I mean, Virginia, I feel like when it comes to music, our sound is so impacted by so many different cultures, you know, and culture always being the most impactful part of it. Because, like, we that mix of the South, we that mix of the North, we that mix of we that perfect mix of both, you know? Like, we get that influence from New York, but we still get that influence from Atlanta. Like, we still have it all. Like, that perfect just mix.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like it's like a different sense of pride, too. You know, like, and then one thing that I always thought was so beautiful is like the uniqueness. Like, everybody's so different.
Sure.
Like, you know, like, I just remember seeing like Missy and being like, oh, like, I don't know, it's like futuristic and like stuff like that. And like, you know, like kind of being like nerdy, if you will, but like making it cool.
Yeah, Neptune.
Yeah.
You know, like
for sure. Okay, so the next track is Run It, like, which I was talking about earlier, like, where it's like we literally like, so he hit the gate running, like literally with Run It, and it featured Joel Santana, and I remember like this was like the era of like music videos too. So I remember watching 106 in Park, and this girl, she had bought like hella like of the first CDs, and she had made a belt, and he was like so like excited. He was like, oh man. But like, yeah, like let's kind of like talk about just that impact, because like on Run It, I had wrote my notes down. Run It was Scott Storch, Scott Storch and Sean Garrett. So like, yeah, like I think like when you think about Chris Brown's like debut into the R&B scene, like he actually came in with a lot of like heavy hitters. But you know, Sean Garrett, the pen, talks about songwriting. So I gotta know, like, at what age did you guys like maybe like write or pen like your first songs or things like that?
For sure. I mean, I feel like I wrote my first songs at a younger age, maybe like out of high school, fresh into college, like 18, 17. But I don't feel like, you know, as being a producer, like, you know, you feel like there's a process to everything. So it's like, I was writing words, but learning how to make a verse and a pre-hook and all those different things, those elements that make a song, I feel like I started doing that as and you develop, like I don't feel like that came to me until I was like 2021 when I really started understanding how to make a beat, but also understand how to make a song too. Really diving into the process and learning the differences and making each section feel different.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with that because I did the same kind of process. Like around 20, I started going to LA. So like the process of going to Atlantic and doing actual writing camps and sessions, you actually see the actual process of how you start with melody first. And that's how people want to start there. And then that's how the process goes on. A lot of times we just do a whole bunch of scatting until we get to a spot where we're like, okay, this is like the meat and potatoes of the song.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I love
a lot.
Yeah. And I'm going to play this next song, but it's going to go into my next question, kind of, so to speak. But Yo, he was like, I don't know, you just hear the beat. I just think of like fun, like he's chasing Shorty down the street. And then he had people in the video. Like I remember like Trey Songz is in the video. Like it was like just such a little vibe. And so with this, I want to know, like, at what age, or have y'all ever like written a song like with a girl in mind, like a shorty in mind? Like I have to know, like, when did you like first be like? Because I feel like musicians, it's like different. Like their approach to life is like a little more poetic, if you will. Yeah. So when's the first time like you wrote like a song, like
girl?
Yeah, for a girl.
Like 14, 15.
Yeah.
Around there.
Nah, yeah. I remember back in the day, like in middle school, this is a crazy story. Like my cousin would come to my crib and he would stay for the summer and we'd just be singing to girls on phone. Like that was like the first tap of like really seeing like, oh, this is something different. Like having that type of talent.
Yeah.
Like, the music really, it's a different language.
No, for real.
It's a different language.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, I never, and we're gonna get into like one of these songs because I have like a funny story behind like writing songs, if you will. I never wrote a song, but I like writing poetry. Like, so yeah. This next song is Young Love. It's like one of my favorites too, because again, like he's just like, I just think like, for me personally, like being like coming up in the 2000s, it really, I don't know, like we had a lot of artists who grew up with us. So I felt like, okay, like this was around middle school when I did start liking boys and when I did start being like, oh, like caring, like, you know what I mean? Like when things like switch. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about just like R&B in general. Like, when you think about the current state of R&B, how do you hope that like OSA like, like contributes to like this generation of the music?
You want to start first, Sean?
I mean, I feel like, we just want to push a certain level of songwriting and production, like we like you said, we grew up on B Cox, we grew up on storytelling and like the songs of our life, we just want to get back to like having timeless records, giving people something that they could also play at their wedding, but also play at the lowest moments of their life too. Like we want to just be like that moment for every moment, like just really giving people timeless songs and really appreciating what a timeless song feels like, and writing that and producing it and outros and intros and bridges and, just giving the music the love that it deserves.
Yeah.
I think that, I think we're getting back to that space. I think that there's a lot of people becoming a lot more vulnerable with their music. So I think, it's a lot of everything. So it's like, we can't just say that it should be like this, how it was in the past. But I think like with what our goal is to also, stay true to what that essence was, but also motivate people to hit another pinnacle as far as like the excellence of music.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people studying this music at one point. So think about that. You got to think 30 years from now, there's going to be a lot of people like, okay, trying to transcribe what we were doing.
Yeah.
With beat making. So, and songwriting. So that's important to me.
Yeah, that is like, that's very, very true. Because when you think about it, like, the Missies and the Timberlands and stuff, like they were just like head down making the music. Yeah. Like obviously they wanted to make an impact, but you can just kind of tell in like their conversations and stuff, they're they're still kind of like, whoa, we did this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think somebody told me before, it's like, when you're in the midst of greatness, like, or becoming great, like, you're just in it. You don't even notice anything else that's like kind of going on around you. So yeah, I think that's very, very true. And so the next song is Give Me That. I remember this video too. And again, and then like also like now that I'm older, like I understand producer tags now.
Sure.
Like when I was like young, I was just like, who is a dark child? Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like, you know, like even like Sky Storch's like his like beginner tag, like yelling out. So like talk to me a little bit about that and like producer tags and like why they're important and like, you know, like kind of like what kind of struck out to you as far as like y'all's own producer tag and stuff like that.
When you go back to like 06 and you play records like that, it's like that's really like the first era of really we not even understanding what a producer tag is at the time. You know, people are just like, yo, this is I'm hot. I'm gonna let you know I'm hot and I made the track. So
yeah,
you know, like that was like the first era of it. So to really see it turn into what it is now, like now you're not gonna hear a track without a producer tag. But I get it. It's like I'm hot. You know, I made this.
Yeah.
I want y'all to know, like, I made this. So it's very important. You know, I feel like for the culture now and like certain tags now, like Metro Boomin, like that tag is just, it don't even, like, DJ Mustard, like, hear those tags, you already know it's hot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like that stamp. It's like it's like being a football player and you wear a helmet all the time and like nobody knows what you look like.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do something that gets everybody's attention.
Yeah, that's why it's like hitting that gritty.
Yeah.
You know, you touchdown, you know, put your tag on it, you know?
Yeah.
No, that's me.
Yeah. No, seriously. And then, you know, I know that you have a new song that just came out, literally like fresh off the press, like it's hot. So talk to me about that and like what goes through your mind when you get a placement, like, or explain maybe like the process for people that don't really know.
I mean, yeah, for the process for that record, sample makers, my dog Alex and my dog Afilio, it just sent me the loop. So me and my man YB, we knew like we was trying to make some new sexy drill like type beats because Hitmaker was working on that type of sound. So YB had called me, we got together. And it's crazy because like this is like the first sexy drill beat that we ever made together. We just came together, sit down, and it came out to be performed by Ronnie, Hitmaker's artist, Make a Sound. So that's out now. It came out on Wednesday, October 2nd. So we did, you know, just seeing how that's growing. And, you know, it's my first record with Hitmaker. So somebody that I've always wanted to work with. So just very glad to make that connection and keep going forward.
Yeah, that's cool. And, you know, speaking of samples, it's this song, I feel like I talk to you about it often. But I love this song by Ro James, Last Time.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I just love that song. And it's funny because I got a chance to see him perform it. And we got to chop it up after. And I was like, I know them who like produced this song. And he was like, who? And then I told him, and it was like a little moment, and we were talking about Virginia. But yeah, like talk to me just about that, like when you get that placement, or like maybe like let's manifest placements, like people that you would want to work with in the future too.
I mean, that opportunity came by way of one of my greatest producer friends, one of our family members now at this point, BMW Kenny, and he was just so gracious to really bring me in with that. You know, Can You Handle It by Usher? You know, Confessions, you know how that feels. So it's amazing to circle back because that's one of my biggest influences, Usher. One of the first projects I got was Usher's 8701. So it's like, it's incredible for it to come full circle and actually allow him to, you know, clear the sample and then the song become a single, you know? So I feel like, you know, with the placement process, it's just being consistent. Keep going. It's like you can't get too high, you can't get too low. Keep going, keep writing, because it's like I told my brother earlier before we came here, 150,000 songs come out every day possibly. So that. You trying to write a timeless song in the midst of that. It's like, it's just a blessing to be able to create music in this, you know?
No, seriously. And I want to get into that in a second too. But our next song is it's called Your Man Ain't Me. And this was my jam. And this is like, I have a crazy story behind this song too. Because with this song, Eric Dawkins wrote this. But my best friend, shout out to Courtney, she had moved into our neighborhood when I was like in middle school.
Yeah.
And her mom was like, oh, it's a little black girl that live across the street. Go introduce yourself. And then my mom was like, go introduce yourself. It's a little black girl that just moved in. Like I'd be seeing her riding her bike. And so we started hanging out, being cool. Again, this is middle school. So like, I don't know why I did this. I used to write poems.
Yeah.
And so, back in the day, they used to have AZ lyrics. I think it's still out.
Yeah.
And I like found the lyrics to this song and I had like wrote it out. Cause like when I used to have crushes, I used to like remix the songs.
Okay.
And I had remixed the song and I told her I wrote this song. And I was like, yeah, this is my song. Da, 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 da. And then I played the song and she was like, wait, this sounds like the song you said you wrote. And it's this Chris Brown song, but like I loved this song, like, cause he was like really like dirty macking and like pillow talking. Yeah. So like, let's talk about that and like that being in R&B music. Cause I remember like, being young and not really knowing the term for it, but like now that I'm older, like knowing what dirty macking is, like how is that like an art form to put in the songs? Because I think the perfect R&B songs has a little bit of dirty macking.
It usually does. I mean, I think like nowadays it's really not that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, most guys gonna say like, "Your nigga ain't me." You know what I'm saying? It ain't that.
Yeah.
So it's been said so many times now, but I feel like that you gotta have that element because it's like. You gotta make a woman feel like, yeah, why would I not want to fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's just what it is.
Yeah, we was talking about it earlier today in the car ride. We was just talking about like that emotion of R&B and still like Dirty Mac and begging, like, certain elements that was in 90s R&B that, it's just...
It doesn't exist. It's not the same.
Yeah.
No.
Or like kind of like shit talking. And I wonder too if it's like, because like obviously music always reflects the times that we're in. True. And it's just like maybe it's because like people don't be wanting to admit like that they're real lovers. Like everybody is like, oh, I don't need this and I don't need that. Like it's like, then you have like kind of like these gender wars. Yeah. So like maybe like, and that's just like I be having little epiphanies like that. So I'm like, maybe that's the reason why it's not in the music. Cause I love the Brent Fires of the world and stuff, but like he be talking shit, but not like that kind of shit. Like it's like actually like toxic.
Yeah.
Like I think before toxic R&B was like begging in the streets and stuff. And now it's like more.
I mean, it's always been toxic.
Yeah.
You gotta think like Carlos Thomas. There's a I Wish.
Yeah.
It's toxic.
Yeah.
One of the greatest R&B songs
ever.
Yeah. No, seriously.
It's toxic for a long time.
Seriously. Okay, so our next song. Okay. This is one of my favorites. I keep saying it. Like the whole song has like hits. But like on this song, you literally hear B. Cox and he declares like he was a prophet, so to speak, because he was like, this is the future of R&B. Like, and then this song is just like so beautiful because it's like, I think that's one of the ones that people don't talk about enough too. Like, I like how when he does his tour or on the last tour, he was letting fans pick the songs and like seeing him perform some of those songs. Cause like we love those songs, but like, yeah, like, I guess again, like, talk to me about what you see in the future for your music collective and like, I don't know, like just what kind of stamp you want to leave like on R&B.
I feel like we're on the path to, really create the next wave of what Virginia is, which is excellent. So I feel like collectively we kept on going, we kept on pushing. Now we feel like we've honed our sound, and now like having the vehicles with the different artists that we work with, the different collaborators that we work with, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
I can't really speak on,
Yeah.
What could possibly happen, but I know with the work that we do,
sure,
it's gonna be everything.
Yeah. And how about for you?
I mean, I feel like, yeah, like you said, just piggybacking on Thomas records, staying innovative.
Yeah.
And just pushing the pen forward. That's what we always talk about. Like, we don't want to continue doing the same drum patterns. We don't want to continue doing the same melodies. We just want to stay pushing forward. Like you said, with even Tim and Missy, like they was in 2050, you know? Like, you go back and listen to their music. We go back to listen to Tim's drums patterns. Those was in 2050. Like, they were so far ahead that they're so timeless now. When you go play them, they still sound the same. So it's like, that's so important to us as producers. The drum sounds, the piano sounds, just making everything feel like 30, 40 years from now, you hear it, it's still gonna sound like the first time you heard it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's also too is like kind of going back to what you said about like being one song away. Because when you think about Missy and Tim specifically, like with Aaliyah's story, like I think it's very interesting because like there was another producer, Dark Child, who was supposed to work with Aaliyah, but like at the time Brandy got to him first, you know, and then she was able to start fresh because like people weren't trying to work with her like at that time. And so, yeah, like you kind of talked about it earlier. And what was like the first R&B, like, or any album, what's the first album that you used your money to buy? And like, can you like recall or recap that time?
I'm trying to think the first album I actually bought.
I mean, for him as kids, I can remember 8701.
Yeah.
For me, like, I would say like buying it, like I wanted to go get this album. I'll probably go to the Day 26, like their second album.
Oh yeah.
That came out. We was real heavy into watching Making the Band.
Yeah.
I remember just anticipating that so bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to go get that straight out the store because I didn't. The studio scenes in the show and certain things like that just made you want to be a part of the album and hear the album. So
yeah,
I would definitely say Day 26 is like one of those albums for me personally.
Yeah.
I remember being 11, 12 and going to go get that.
Yeah.
It needed that. For sure.
Yeah. And I kind of want to touch on when it comes to like going to buy the music. I remember like music being out on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
It used to drop on Tuesdays. And if I made good grades, that was like my reward. My mom would take me to Circuit City and like let me pick out one album. And I would be like, okay, like, and I remember just like buying like everything. I think the first album I bought with my own money was Lil Wayne, The Carter 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was like my first one. That's the one I ran into the ground too. Like my mom would have to go and get me like another copy. With the Chris Brown, this album, she had to get me another one because it got scratched up from playing it so much. And so this next track is Ain't No Way.
Yeah.
I love the beat to this. Like, I think it's so distinct. And then like when he comes in, around here, I don't know. I just think like his hunger, like you could really hear his hunger. Like most people, I think I saw a tweet the other day and it was like, ain't no way. Oh, I'm gonna let you down. Like, yeah, I just love that song so much. But what did that tweet say? Oh, it says something about just damn, I lost it. It's gonna come back. I can't remember. Dang. I don't know. It was something good. I can't remember. It was something about, I don't know. Oh, they said most artists' debut albums are trash, like, you know, like their first album. Yeah. And I'm just like, this wasn't the case for this album. Like, I think it really solidified like that sound and like his sound of like the music industry. But let's talk about how like that sound grows and like how sometimes people like, what do you think? Do you think like we are consuming too much music? Sometimes like like on a Friday, like when new music comes, I'm like, damn, like my brain can't process. Like I like to spend so much time with one project. Yeah. And it's hard. So like, let's talk about that like a little bit and like the effect that you guys think it might have on the music or the quality of music.
I mean, yeah, there is like a variety, like you said, with streaming platforms now. It's like a buffet, like you said, Friday, it's a new meal. So it's like everybody, you get to choose really what you want to see. And like you said, sometimes it is hard to like really sit down and sit with an album. And like I said, sometimes for me as a producer, like I know like I gotta wait a little time period just to go actually listen to production, then go listen to song, right? Like I'm listening to different elements at different times. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm always listening at a different rate, but there is so much variety, and I wouldn't say we're over consuming, but I would just say like there's options, like, and it's very hard to have music that sits with people because there is so many options. So like that brings it back the importance of diving in and really creating that something that feels different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything Travis said with that. It's just like, I wouldn't say there's too much, but there's a lot of quality too. It's just that you have to find it. So it's like as a producer, there's so much to draw from. So I respect all elements of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this next song is What's My Name? And that's when he's like C to the H to the RIS. And I like really like this one too. I think this again, like it has like a lot of throwaway songs. So like what's like, you can name any artist, any song. What's like a good throwaway song for you? Like what, like your top throwaway song?
Top throwaway.
Like ever. Like that would be on the B-sides of somebody's.
The B-side. Okay, I'm trying to think.
The best B-side. Probably Sex, Love, and Pain, Tank.
Oh yeah.
I feel like nobody, but I don't know if it's a B-side because I feel like R&B lovers would probably say like,
yeah, I'm like that's yeah.
I don't feel like it's also like where people should always put it like that. That's an R&B classic, cult classic.
Yeah.
You talk about singing, talk about production.
Yeah.
Talk about R&B, like that's what for sure.
Do you mean like the album or just like a single or a song?
Yeah,
song?
A song.
Probably like that the one that's on Confessions that everybody loves, Superstar. That's like,
yeah.
You got to that wasn't a single.
That is. I love Superstar. Like that's my favorite. Like that's probably my number one Usher song of all time.
That's
yeah, like, and I would say that confidently. Like, and I love Usher. Like, also, let's talk about like getting like your second wind, if you will. Like, people like Usher or like the Beyoncés of the world, right? They don't ever have to like rebrand, if you will, because they kind of grow with the times.
But they came in a different time.
Yeah.
It's a different time where there was a lot of artist development. So it's like a lot of time we're put into these artists,
Yeah.
Sure. Beyonce, they household names, like,
yeah.
They don't have to sit here and act like they haven't been practicing for 20
forever years. Yeah.
So it's like, they different.
Yeah, definitely another level of greatness. And like you said, I think we were talking about greatness earlier. Sometimes when you just in it, you just in it.
Yeah.
Like Usher, greatness never ends. We see LeBron James. We see Usher 40 years old still going crazy, Yeah. Greatness just never ends. Beyonce 20 years from now should still be Beyonce going crazy.
Yeah.
She'll be on any stage tearing the floor down.
Yeah.
Great.
No, seriously.
Greatness still never ends.
Seriously, do you think like that why do you think like that is missing though? Like in terms of like the next superstar? Like, like these, like we knew we knew they were going to be superstars, like when they were coming up. But like, do you think that the music industry is oversaturated now that it's harder to break the next superstars? Or
I feel like the way that they go about getting superstars now is a little different. Mm-hmm. Like back in Beyonce's time, like it was more like the labels was going after the talent. They were looking for like the talent show kid, the kid that was at the Apollo going crazy. Now it's more like the kid that got 50 million followers. So it kind of makes the difference of the music quality isn't going to be the same as Beyonce, because Beyonce was 5 years old being trained up to be Beyonce. This kid was just, a kid that, who's funny, got social media, but it's just a different climb to success.
Yeah.
And the development for being an artist is going to, impact the music overall.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's very, very true. And then, because like, I think too, is like, people really used to have to know how to do it all. Like you had to like sing, you had to like dance.
For sure.
Yeah, I just finished reading Britney Spears, like her memoir.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, like even her, like it was a machine and they all was running through the same machine, like at the Mickey Mouse Club, like, you know, Justin Timberlake, stuff like that. Like, yeah. So the next song is This Love? This is another like kind of throwaway, if you will. Yeah. I just thought it was another like throwaway. I think too is like making like the whole like a whole cohesive project. I think that's also like a lost art form. So like what are the makings to you of a good quality song?
To me, it's always in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like you gotta actually talk to the artist and see where they're actually at, you know, and then come up with a concept about that. Sometimes it takes a long time. I know even like some of the greatest projects, Confessions, they didn't know that they were all going to write a album that was going to all tie in.
Yeah.
Once they got to that, you know, the meat and potatoes of the story, it kind of told itself. And especially with that, I think that's what's missing right now is actually capitalizing on that scandal. Because back in the day, it was always a scandal or something that really brought you in that you want to even go buy a project.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, even thinking about that Confessions project, like you didn't really have an idea of what was going on. It was just what we were all alluding to, you know, and that's what made those songs feel like they were real life, you know? So that blurred line is like wrestling almost. Like we didn't you know, like we didn't know what was going on. So
I just watched this documentary about wrestling. And I was so sad because my favorite wrestler was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like that was my guy. Like I really, really liked him. Yeah. And I was devastated when I found out wrestling wasn't wrestling. Like,
but it's like in that era that we grew up in, those lines were so blurred.
Yeah.
Like, they were so good at blurring them and making us so drawn into those storylines.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And so this next one is like one of my favorites. Poppin'.
Yeah.
I'm like, if he wants to drop a video to this today, he could, and it would go crazy. Like, this is, again, another one of them ones. Like, it's just...
Jonte.
Yeah, like, Jonte is, like... First of all, we love you, Jonte. Like...
Go.
Like, amazing. Like, to be able to have that type of, like, approach to, like... crafting like or making music. So like maybe let's talk about when you first discovered like that your gift or your talent in music. Like what was that like? Because like I've talked to people before and they're like they thought everybody could do that. Like most musicians are like growing up, they're like, oh, I thought everybody like could like hear that sound in their heads. Like,
I think I should answer that one first because like I could put the perspective of like growing up, my brother could play everything, so I knew like as a little brother, everyone could not do that. You know? Like you know, I see like the skill set that my brother had, and I saw that like wow, like you know, that's a one of one talent. You know, it's not like every person walking around this world is going to be able to play instruments at that level. So it really, and it's like for me, I feel like it took me a little time to understand my talent in it because like I was always comparing myself to, you know, my brother was a musician. So it was like, that was my first entry to music. It was like, how do I create that space as a producer that's not a musician first, who still loves music, still learns and loves R&B, understands chord progressions and all those type of things, but how can I implement it and still create that space for myself? So I feel like in my later, you know, as I became a DJ, I started to pick up on like what people like, you know, and just that was always being one of the most important elements of music, like knowing what people like, what they want to hear, you know, like that energy, you know, of ups and downs and still making them be able to feel emotion from this BPM to that BPM, you know, whether it's up or whether it's down, still being able to match the emotion of every beat. So yeah, I feel like, you know, that's in my 14 to 15 years old days, like that's where I really learned, okay, like I can hear things differently. I can see things differently. I can draw the picture out.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, for me, it kind of started young. I feel like my talents were really nurtured from my parents because I always had an instrument somewhere. So like
Yeah.
I know I started with a small size keyboard, and then like I had a guitar and then a drum set. So it's like I was always able to kind of get that out. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
especially at a young age, like being able to hear it and recall it. I know from a young age going to church, which was really important. That's where
Yeah.
I learned my talent at. So it was like going to church and being really young and always memorizing like the melody lines and
Yeah.
coming back and being able to play it. You know what I'm saying? The melody lines as a kid, I knew it was something different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I kind of want to stay there with the church because Jermaine Dupri recently, like, it went viral, a clip of him saying, like, that's what's missing from R&B. It's like the youth don't go to church anymore.
It's true.
But yeah, like, I think about, like, just that invoke, like, and I can't sing, like, I'm not a musician or anything, like, and I don't know why they let me do this, but, it was church. But I used to, like, lead a song, like, in the children's choir, and I just liked the way people responded to it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I was like, oh, this, like, feels so good.
It teaches you a lot when
Yeah.
when you're able to get over that fear at a young age. Cause
Yeah.
you're able to do a lot of things that, a lot of people, they suffer from anxiety now. So
Yeah.
like, when you're actually forced, because you think back in those days, it wasn't a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Yeah.
wasn't an option. So it was like, you got to do it or you know what's going to happen when you get home.
Yeah.
But it helps you, especially when you get out of your comfort zone. So
Yeah.
I feel like honing that ability too is because as a singer, you're not going to always be the greatest singer.
Yeah.
Keep singing every Sunday. You learn a lot of different things, seeing people's perspective, seeing them actually catch the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah, growing up, I just learned, because my brother played with different musicians at different churches. So there was times where we would go to a visiting church and there was nobody there to sing. So they'd be like, you gonna sing the song,
Yeah.
So it's just like, that really just, like you said, instills another level of confidence in you. And like you said, get to see that reaction of how it makes other people feel. And like you said, just learning different things about singing tone and, structure of how you want to use your voice and dynamics and breath and all those different things. So yeah, I feel like church is very impactful to every person that wants to do music, period. If you have sang in church, it does give you a little competitive advantage.
Yeah, no, seriously. Seriously. Yeah, and so the next track is Just Fine. Again, like I think this had enough level of like this album as a whole had enough level of like in and out, like versus like it had like your upbeat, like your poppin' songs, if like no pun intended songs, but then like it also had like just kind of those slow records where he's like a young man talking about love. He's like 15, 16, like and so I kind of wanted to know from you guys, just when you think about it, like what do you want individually and like collectively, like your legacy on music to be, or like, yeah, like, or what has been like maybe answer this. What has been like a pinch yourself moment to make you go like, oh dang, like I gotta keep going?
Well, I think that's just every day. Like, saying like we're one song away from, doing everything. So it's like, for me, it's like, now having children, actually understanding like the legacy of that.
Yeah.
So it's like understanding that, these songs could take care of them for life.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's important to me. And then seeing how like I was able to bring my brother aside with me, Actually, we're a collective. So it's like, we're a team. So I feel like it's a legacy type thing. I know the Jasper name and music really means something. It's like outside of ourselves, it already has its own meaning. So I know that we're a part of that as well.
That's cool.
No, for sure. Pinch me moment, I would just be like, like I saw my brother at a young age, like just be able to meet his heroes, being able to meet B. Cox. That was influential. And then like, just seeing us start up together and talk about people that we wanted to work with, like Hitmaker and all these different people. And now we've been able to cross some of those boundaries to those being our collaborators. So there's no way to really stop, because certain things that we talked about 5 years ago, like we've done them now, and we're still doing them. So God willing. So, it's just a blessing to see that.
Yeah, I love that so much. This next song was like "Say Goodbye," and this is like such a good like breakup song.
Yeah.
Like, so like I want to talk about that too. Like, what is like maybe like your favorite breakup song? Like, cause I gotta know. Like,
Your favorite.
just
No song.
I think
like, or just a favorite. Like, I don't know. Also, like I love like New Edition. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like that song, what's it called? You're just not my type or something. Like that's like to me like grade A like
Yeah.
turn down song. Like it's just so like I don't
like
know.
Donnell Jones, Where I Want to Be.
Oh yeah.
That's a fly way to put it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I just recently found out or somebody just played like viral clips about him saying like that song was about like the mother of his like 4 daughters
okay.
at the time. Yeah, like they had broken up.
It's not
Yeah.
you know how I can get.
Favorite breakup song? I'm probably gonna have to go back to Carl Thomas.
Yeah.
You know? I
Yeah.
feel like that song,
Yeah.
like when you hear that song, it just embodies everything, you know? Like
Yeah.
everybody has felt that before, you know, and maybe it's not that exact situation, but everybody's felt like that. I wish I just had never met her before. You
Yeah.
know? Like,
No, for
I
real.
just did it happen, you know? Everybody's felt that.
Yeah.
It's a bar. It's so many bars in that.
And that's
song.
It
so, like,
is.
That catch-22 when you win something.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then even
Crazy.
like Avant has a crazy one too. The what's the name of the song? Shoot, I can't think about it. I can't think of the name of it. But it's the one where he's like where he's like, I wish if I never would have met you, I wouldn't be mad at all. Like,
I'm trying to think.
it's like, dun, 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 dun. When we were together, we never turned our backs on each other. Yeah,
I
like,
know what you're talking about. Is it called Separated?
yeah,
Yeah, Separated.
I thought it was Separated.
He was like, I can't believe I stayed with you that damn long. Like, I was like, damn, like that's kind of mean. But like, that's like, you know, I guess how he felt.
That's how he felt.
And invoking that feeling.
Yeah.
I gotta throw "Please Don't Go" in there by Tank too. You know,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
that's the element
Yeah.
that we haven't had in a long time.
Yeah. Please don't go.
No, just an element of vocals that we haven't had in a long time too.
Yeah. And then it's the other Tank song that he has. Dang, the super popular one. That one.
I deserve.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe I deserve. Okay, so I always knew when my mom was mad at my dad when she played that. I would be like, girl, like I was like, ooh, like every time she would play that, I'd be like, damn,
Yeah, I'll do it.
he in the doghouse like right now, like because that's like just another like song like that's like the soundtrack to my life. That and Sunshine Anderson.
Heard it all.
Yeah, heard it all before. Like
Yeah.
crazy.
that's like a classic too. And so like we're rounding off like on the album, like we have tracks like So Glad and then Seen the Light with Rico Love.
Another ghost.
That's like another like good one. And then I just miss like that era too of like bonus tracks.
Yeah.
You remember like when you would just get an album and then like it would have bonus tracks on it. Like I guess like that's what we get now, like with deluxe.
Yeah.
Like when people come back and have like a deluxe album or whatever. But do you guys have any favorites like between like making music like for hip hop versus R&B or like what have you? Do you have like a favorite genre or like one that you prefer?
I wouldn't say there's a preference, but as a musician, I feel like R&B it's always been engraved in me. So I feel like for me, it's a lot easier and natural to make. So.
No, I felt for me, like, I was a DJ, so it was more like club tempo, more party tempo. So, like, hearing that upbeat club records, hip hop beat, but still, like my brother was Tyler Jasper, so it's like, he was always close to home. Musicianship was always close to home, going to gigs, going to church. So it was like the R&B was always right there. So it's very hard to be like, oh, the preference, it's a love for both, just creating that feeling.
Yeah.
Respect for both,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
you got to think to be able to make the hottest club song. Sometimes
I
you have
know.
to sample, you know,
Yeah,
it's all the
like
difference in this making a hot,
Simplicity.
you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And speaking of, like, do y'all have like a favorite like club jam? Like for me, what I like or like what I imagine like me going out on a Friday night or something with my girls is like Lucy Pearl Dance Tonight. Like that's like one like I like if I had to like put a song to like a feeling that I want outside to give me, that's that one.
that's a classic.
Yeah.
When I'm going party records, I'm gonna go a little bit more like modern. I'm gonna say more like, because I got to go to the GOAT Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
No Hands.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh my
I would say,
God.
I would say
Okay.
No Hands.
All right. So I'm gonna go there. Why? Like, what was the favorite verse on that song, and why is it Wale?
Like that's three.
Like-
Those are three GOAT verses right there. Like everybody
Yeah.
came with their best.
Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, I always joke and tell people I know like that a DJ is trash if they don't do what if they skip Wale part.
No.
Like if you skip Wale part in the function that I'm at, like I'm like, damn, this is a horrible DJ.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Sure. No. And I gotta say, what's it called too? I'm gonna go In the Club too, Dr. Dre.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Another song is just like, it don't matter where you go. If that comes on, your head is bobbing.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
for real.
It just doesn't matter. Movie. Doesn't matter where you at.
Yeah.
That song just always gonna forever now.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones.
Yeah. How about for you?
You said as far as
Yeah. Like, do you have like just a classic
classic, well, not
club
club
record?
song?
Yeah, like
Cool. I gotta think a little bit harder on that.
like I don't know, cause yeah, for me, definitely I love like Lucy Pearl, like Dance Tonight. That's like how I want to like start the night. Maybe I definitely like No Hands, hearing No Hands when I'm out, like
I'm
all the
outside.
time.
No
Yeah,
Hands is gonna turn it up.
yeah. I've done No Hands at karaoke.
Yeah, it's gonna turn it up no matter where.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I mean, I like stuff like Plies, Shawty.
Oh,
like that.
yes.
You know, Drummer Boy, just to me,
Yeah.
club on Smack.
Yeah.
Point, he was just going crazy.
And I feel like people don't talk about that enough. Like Shawty is like, to me, like the definition of a timeless record.
Yeah, especially
Like,
a club record.
Yeah, like, and it's like, damn, like this is a song like that's forever, like standing the test of time.
Yeah,
Sure.
Like, yeah. And so I think this is the last track, but it's the thank you track at the end where I miss that too. Like where artists used to have thank you tracks or they would close out with a gospel song.
Gospel song,
Like,
for their mama or something.
Like with a gospel song. So like now like that we've come to the end of like this album, just maybe like let's talk about, I don't know, maybe like what was I guess like my last question or my final question for y'all is just what excites you? Like what is something like right now is like a part of your process of like when you're making music is like, when do you have those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, like I gotta run home and get this out of my head? Or do you have those type of moments?
We have those moments every day. We hear something, we might see an IG post, we might just have a melody in my head. I might just go to my keyboard and just start playing and find something. So it happens all the time. I feel like as long as you're putting into the well, you'll always have something to put out.
Yeah.
So I feel like I stay inspired. And sometimes the best inspiration is not doing music for a little bit. Taking a day off, a few days off, a week off.
Yeah.
You know, just to put it back.
Yeah, I'm on a week off right now. Like sometimes you just have to, just step away and let life. And I feel like for me, like as far as inspiration and just being excited, I feel like my collaborators give me a lot of good energy. Like always stay around people that just give you things that you want to pour back into the music and continue to inspire you to progress, do different things, listen, innovate, that is always pours back. But I feel like, my collaborators definitely keep me inspired.
Yeah, and y'all said something very important, and I feel like that spoke to me, like taking a break, like sitting down, you know what I mean? Like, and just like, you know, I always like feel like sometimes like my grandma used to tell me to like just sit still and listen to God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know, it's hard to listen when you're like always on the grind. Like, I hate grind culture, like where people are like, oh, we can't sleep. Like, no, actually, I need to sleep.
Yeah.
You know?
That'd be a great balance.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as we wrap up today's episode of Music Bites, I like love like all things journaling and like manifesting and stuff. So like one of the things and a part of this segment is just I have a journal prompt, if you will.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna like have you guys like answer this question. But since we talked about Chris Brown and his debut on music, like on the music scene today, talk to me about what sense of pride do you feel being from Virginia, like when Chris Brown first emerged on the scene? Like, what sense of pride did you feel, and how do you embody like that same pride and that same feeling as being like Virginia born and bred as musicians today?
Oh, it felt great when Chris Brown first came out because seeing somebody that was so close to where we were from that could actually do it. Because you got to think, it seems so outlandish to so many people being an artist, being a producer, being anything creative. So seeing that was amazing. And then just, you got to think later down the line, being able to work with Chris Brown in different capacities is full circle.
Full circle.
And then especially when you go to different places, different cities, Atlanta, LA, New York, and you tell people you're from Virginia, a lot of times it's like an edge up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's amazing, you know, being from VA.
Yeah, VA is just like we talked about, culture, wave setters. You know, we are the wave. We don't, you know, we're so close to water. Like we're so influential. You know, we're so impactful of just always being on the next thing. And I feel like you can see that with Chris Brown in fashion and music and whatever he does. Like he's Virginia all the way to the core. Like we just a wave. You know, we culture. You know, like we know what's hot. Virginia knows what's hot.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And so remember, music isn't something we hear, it's something we live. Until next time, keep the rhythm in your heart and the melody in your soul. This is Music Bites, where every note tells a story. Thank y'all so much.
So thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Oh, and before we go, like tell everyone where they can follow you guys and where they can like keep up with your work.
Yeah, I'm Trav. Don't hurt them on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So always follow me there. I'm always, you know, reaching out to new writers, new producers. So I'm always trying to make new connections. So feel free to tap in with me.
You know, IG and Twitter, I'm Tyler _ Jasper. Same thing as Travis said. We always looking for great talent, great people to be around, and just making even greater music. So tap in with OSA.
Yeah. And then again, I'm your host, Sly. You can follow me at As Told by Sly on all platforms. Also follow the team Dreams to Reality. That's Dreams to Reality. We're going to put it down in the bottom of the screen. So yeah, follow us and tap in. Thank y'all for another episode of Music Bites.
Thank you, y'all. Deuces.
Yes, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate y'all.
For sure.
That was fun.
That was fun.